Hello. This speaker has been recorded at a meeting of Addictive Eaters Anonymous. For more information, visit our website www.aeainfo.org.
Thanks, Anna, for asking me to share. It's good to be at the meeting. We were preparing dinner tonight, and my husband, who's a member of this fellowship, said, "It's about time you took your turn and did the main share at this meeting. You must have exhausted every other possible opportunity." And he was right, I had. So God bless me, here I am. And I know we've just read it in the preamble, but I'm going to read our sobriety statement because I feel like this was the message that saved my life. And I believe that it's the sobriety statement that sets us apart from any other 12-step fellowship. And it reads, "Sobriety in AEA is freedom from addictive eating and all mind-altering substances. As a result of sobriety, AEA members have found recovery from binge eating, anorexia, bulimia, other forms of addictive eating, and compulsive exercise. Through sobriety, members find peace of mind and the ability to live a meaningful and productive life." I remember being 17 years old and going on a night out with a friend. I'd gone round to her house, we'd been drinking and we were on the sesh, and we were walking across the bridge heading into town, and I said to her, "I'm addicted to everything." I said, "As long as it's not good for you, I'm addicted to it." And we laughed about that, thought it was hilarious, and carried on walking into town on our night out. And I just didn't really fully understand what I was saying or just how true that was. It wasn't until much later in life I came to realise that I had the disease of addiction and that it manifested in me in many, many different ways. And so it was quite obvious to people that I had a problem with alcohol and drugs. And even although I was really overweight, people didn't seem to realise that I had a problem with the food. I hid it really well, although I couldn't hide it that well because I was overweight, but yet they didn't think I had a problem with that. And by the time I'd come to AEA, I was drinking coffee called Rocket Fuel because I just couldn't seem to move fast enough. I always wanted to be going at speed. And I was drinking double espressos because I just needed the hit. And I remember at one point standing in my kitchen thinking, there's too much fluid in this double espresso. I'm just going to eat the coffee from the jar. And I had the jar in my hand and a teaspoon and I was going to eat it. And thank God I didn't, because there was this little voice that said, "That's not normal. It's just not normal to want to do that." And so when I eventually came to AEA, and we weren't AEA at that point, but I was given the number of a sober member of this fellowship. And I called her and she spoke to me about the disease of addiction and how addiction just swapped from one substance to another. I totally understood what she was talking about because I could look back over my life and see how that was the case for me. And she spoke about being in recovery from all of that, not doing any of those things anymore. And I was really, really terrified by that. But yet at the same time, I was so relieved that somebody finally understood what was wrong with me, because I had been in many other 12-step fellowships before coming here, and people just, I don't know how to put that into words. I was just aware that when I spoke to this member, she just knew. And I was grateful that I was speaking to somebody who was able to say to me, "This is how I did it. This is how I got sober," not just from the addictive eating, but from all the other mind-altering substances. And looking back, I can see that I did not experience any peace of mind until I got sober from everything. And I certainly didn't have a meaningful and productive life. And that crossed my mind today because I was working with a 10-year-old child today, and it was quite early in the morning, and I was helping him to deal with loss and grief and changes that have been happening in his life. And the thought crossed my mind, oh no, I'm sharing at the meeting tonight. And I felt the fear in the pit of my stomach. And so in that moment, I took a breath, I paused, and I ignored the thought in my head. And I fully concentrated on the moment that I was in. I gave all of my attention to this wee boy and was completely present with him. And as soon as I did that, I forgot about tonight and the thoughts that were going on in my mind. And so I was able to just do the job that I was meant to be doing. And then I got to witness God doing remarkable things in this wee boy's life. And when I was working with him today, it was my job to help him understand the need to let go of resentment and the need to let go of anger and the need to stop blaming people and the need to be able to forgive, which was quite a tall order to help a 10-year-old understand that, because it made me think of my own experience. And I was well into my 30s, my mid-30s, maybe even a wee bit older, before I was able to really put all of that into practice. I came to the fellowship, came to AEA, and I hung around, and I listened to sober members sharing about what they did every day to stay well. I heard them talking about the lengths they were going to help other people. I heard them talking about phoning a sponsor regularly and being honest in their conversations with their sponsors and other sober members. And I heard them talking about, getting up early in the morning and having quiet time and praying and meditating and going to meetings and reading AA literature and just trying to help the next person that came through the door. And I knew if I just kept doing those things, that I was going to change and have the freedom that I could see in them. And it was by going through the steps that I was able to let go of all the stories that I had always told myself. I was able to let go of the anger and the resentment that I especially held towards my family. I was able to let go of all the bitterness and the jealousy and the childishness. And slowly, I don't know exactly when it happened, but over time, I was just able to forgive them, because I came to the realization that they did the absolute best that they could for me. And so I know today that I do not have the skills to live in the world without this program. Like, I don't know how to be a decent human being. I don't know how to be an employee or a colleague. I don't know how to be a decent wife. I don't know how to be a member of my family. It's not for God and the steps and the people that help me. I cannot function in the world. I tried it for many, many years. And my way of coping with being in the world was to stuff my face full of food and drink and take caffeine and pop painkillers just in case I've got a sore head. That was my way of coping. And I don't live like that today. And that's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. When I say life is good, like, I really mean it. Life is really good. And just for today, I don't have to listen to my thinking. That's a miracle. I don't have to be dominated by my thinking and my feelings. I can just turn up and say to God, okay, here I am. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trusting that you're going to work through me today. And that you're going to do something amazing, not just in my life, but people's lives around me. And I'm aware that I've not really mentioned much about food. And that's because I just know that food is not the problem. Food was never the problem. The problem was my inability to cope with life and these really fixed ideas that I had and the attitude that I had and the ways that I had of behaving. That was what was causing all the problems in my life. And so that's why I so desperately need this way of life. That's why I need to surrender every day to the 12 steps, because I don't know what joy and contentment and peace of mind looks like when I'm not doing that, when I'm not surrendering to this program. And we had a little event at the weekend, so last weekend, and it was one of those little spiritual fairs that we get to go and have an AEA table at and just stand there and be present for people who want to come and speak to us and share a little bit of experience with people. And it was wonderful. Like, it was absolutely wonderful to be able to be there and to be sober, to be a healthy weight for my height, to have people come over and ask us questions and to just share my experience of how this program has worked for me. And I was surrounded by tarot card readers, mediums, people who had crystals for healing, people who did Reiki and all other kinds of stuff. And I remember for decades, when I was in active addiction, I was actively searching in those areas. I was addicted to getting my tarot cards read, my palm read, my tea leaves read. I did Ouija boards. I went to spiritualists and mediums. Like, I'd done it all. I was constantly searching and desperate for somebody to say to me, your life is going to be amazing. All these wonderful things are going to happen to you. And that was not my experience, because I was crazy in food. I was full of self-will. I wanted to dominate everybody around me and micromanage everybody. And today, it is so wonderful to be at these events and to know that that's not where the answer is, that the answer is in here, that everything I need, I get from AEA, absolutely everything. And to feel whole and complete, and to know that I belong. I just belong here. For a long time, I thought I was going to have to go to Africa and be a missionary to feel whole and complete. And I haven't felt like that in a long time. It would be lovely to go to Africa on holiday, but that's different. You know, I'm not running away or trying to search for something. It's all just right here. All I have to do is pause and be still and go within, and everything I need is right here. And then I get to just turn up and enjoy life and pass that on to the next person that wants it. That's all I have to do. Simple. So as long as I don't listen to my thinking and keep it as simple as that, all is well and life is good. So I've got 2 minutes left to go, but I'm going to leave it there. And thank you very much, Anna, for asking me to share.